Good to be here this morning. Had a great time yesterday. I was screaming my lungs out in that drifting car. It was awesome. He was getting excited too. He got so excited he over drifted. We almost hit the plastic ball, the wall, and he's like, it was something. It was a real good time. It was a great event yesterday. Thank you so much for that. So my name's Ayora Berry. Been at PTC for about 14 years. Various product roles, product design, product enablement, product management. I want to talk to you today about what we're doing with AI at PTC. I've got 3 goals here. One is to kind of share what we've been learning from the market, from our partners, from our customers, internally, what's happening with AI, what's the trend with that for engineering specifically. So CAD, PLM, ALM, we're going to focus on that. And then 2, nerd out a bit, like share some frameworks we have about how to think about AI that you can take back to your company with whatever you're doing in your business, some ways to frame up in your organization how to implement AI with your workforce. And then tee up the conversation today. As Jason shared, my 3rd goal is that we've got some great talks from partners and customers about what we're doing with AI, and looking forward to hearing those. So let's jump in first with a little side note, because everyone's been doing it. I like the trend, talking about cars. I was in Hannover Messe recently for a conference, and I stopped in Amsterdam, and I rented a car, and I drove to Germany on the way. It was amazing, the Autobahn. Who's drove on the Autobahn? It's an incredible experience. You can go like 100 miles per hour, so training for yesterday's track. And what I loved about it was not only the speed, but like so efficient. Like when you're in the middle lane, you pop over the fast lane, you're in it, and then you move off. Like you don't stay in the fast lane because someone's coming. So it's very orderly how like people work, and I love the system and the structure of that. It was very efficient, good experience, and it was a great event. If you haven't been to Hannover Messe, PTC goes there. It's a great experience. Lots of talks. AI was everywhere. It was crazy. And so let's jump into AI and what's going on. I like to start off with this, what we're seeing in the market, very high level. The first point is the analysts out there who are crunching the numbers. What's the opportunity with the market? They're seeing a ton with AI. And the call I want to make is around generative AI. They're saying that 15 to 40% of the economic opportunity attributed to this AI potential that we're seeing is coming from generative AI technologies. It's those LLMs that we're hearing. It's the ChatGPT experience. And the question is why? 2 things to think about. There's others, but 2 things to think about. One is AI as a commodity, and then 2 is the capabilities it's enabling. So what am I talking about with AI as a commodity? So if you were building software that integrates AI 2 years ago, and even today, but 2 years ago, you would have had to either hire out or have data scientists, data engineers, and they would take a bunch of data and they would build a proprietary machine learning model. And they build that machine learning model, be trained on XYZ workflow to check on change, check on parts, whatever it may be, and you'd build out that proprietary ML model. And we've done that at PTC, like Servigistics. We do that for spare parts planning, inventory management. What's different now is that LLMs are a service. You can go to Microsoft or Amazon and you get that as a commodity. It's something you can just go right to market with quickly. And so that speed to market is huge in terms of tapping into the value that these AI technologies have. So AI is a commodity, number 1. And then number 2, the capabilities that large language models bring to market, they're adding some new value. And what's very interesting for us is that we all speak in human language, and we write that down, we put it in our metadata, we put it in our workflows, we put it in our documents, and now we can tap into that data with large language models. And it enables different capabilities, like you can find things through semantic similarity, you can analyze content, look at patterns, or you can generate stuff, generate Word documents, generate answers to questions. So that's a big reason why those 2 on why we're seeing this huge opportunity. And it leads to Satya's comment here in the middle. And he says, what lean did for manufacturing, so like identifying value add and non-value add time and running continuous improvement projects to get productivity and efficiencies, we're seeing the same thing now with generative AI and large language models, because we can look at the things that we do as employees with our natural language that are written in workflows and in metadata, and we can maximize that. We can look for the non-value add, the repetitive task, and we can maximize the value add time, collaboration, critical thinking. So now it's no surprise you've seen lots of literature, or you've talked to people about AI, but it's no surprise there's a lot of action and activity around AI. We were down in Florida for a similar event. It was focused on medical device companies, and we asked them, it was about 15 or 20 leaders from those businesses, and we asked them, if you were to invest your dollars for some new software features with PTC or any other company, and we had a list of like 9 or 10 items, like supply chain management, connecting ALM and PLM, et cetera, et cetera. And number one was AI. They all put AI at the top, and one of the reasons why is the stuff that we're seeing here, the economic opportunity, but the other one, just like basic tactics, is like the purse strings are opening up. Like there's opportunity to invest dollars with AI. The executive is interested in that and seeing what it can do to go to market faster, to unlock knowledge, et cetera. So there's investment there. And when you think about the investment opportunity, why is that particularly interesting for engineering? And these patterns hold true pretty much across domains, but like let's talk about that within the engineering context. So first, scale knowledge. We've all heard the stories of like the swivel chair syndrome, where you're trying to find information in one system here, another system here, another system here, or you have the tribal knowledge scenario of knowledge locked into certain talent. One of the things that these large language models do in this AI is it's gonna scale knowledge access. You can get access to information quickly. And what's interesting is like, I like to compare it to like having a friend who has photographic memory. Like they can quickly find and they know where the information is, and they can do that at speed too. So you have access to knowledge, boom. You can reduce repetitive tasks. So coming back to that lean for knowledge workers, there are tasks that you have that we talked earlier yesterday, like around just data management, bringing in data, updating and formatting data, sending data downstream for downstream deliverables. Like there's all these tasks that you have to do in your core work, whether you're an engineer or not. And what AI can do is help with those tasks. And there are providers looking at each of those stages, whether it's ingest or management or downstream. So there's opportunities to reduce those repetitive tasks and unlock opportunities for that third piece there, which is let's free up time to be critical thinkers, be more like architects, let's make decisions, let's increase our collaboration, et cetera. So when we think about engineering and the investment, these three come up as patterns in most conversations we have with customers. And so when we think about PTC and what we're doing with AI, there's a ton of opportunity, and the way we're framing is that there's this product data foundation. And in today's conversation, I'm just focused on ALM, PLM, and CAD. And there's a bunch of examples of use cases here. I'm gonna show you some demos and stuff. But if you look across, what we're doing is we're layering AI into these systems. We're embedding it into the software, right? And there's different opportunities that are unlocked. For ALM, it's around requirements and test management. For CAD, it's like coupling AI with design so that you can optimize models and run analyses. With PLM, it's increasing your access to the information, like being able to do search and Windchill and find that object and then trace it to another thing to get information around supplier or cost. And then furthermore, there's the opportunity around connecting systems. And I'm gonna talk more about that, like this agent to agent or AI collaboration between systems. It's a huge opportunity. One way to describe it is like, we're getting more wind behind the sails of digital thread vis-a-vis AI. So I wanna get a little bit into a detail here. I was working yesterday, actually, like during some breaks. I was like, I wanna get more into it with you guys. Like based on what I heard yesterday, I wanna share some things that you can kind of take away. So let me just start here and just explain a definition of like what an agent is. You've probably heard it talked about. If you're on LinkedIn, you can't avoid it. It's everywhere, like 2025, 26 is the years of agents. So what is an agent? It's like an intelligent digital worker. And what it is, it's a software service. It's in the technology stack, and it's doing some job, and it uses a large language model as part of its tool set. So look at this diagram here. You have the box, the agent, and on the left are three ways to interact with that agent. You can type something in the prompt, like, I'm looking to go to a restaurant, or I'm here in Utah, I've got a couple more hours, what can I do? You can type in the chat and do that. Or you can just have an action, like you can click a button, like run analysis, or go find something, and it will go do an action. Or it can be connected to another tool agent. So agent to agents, right, can talk to each other. And then within an agent, there are these capabilities, like it can plan. So it can like get a prompt and say, based on that prompt, I should probably go look for this thing from the requirements tool, and I'm gonna find this data here that I have in my own vector data, whatever it is. And then it can reason. This is more advanced, I'm gonna share with you a framework around that, but like it can infer what to do based on that prompt. And then finally it can act, it can go do stuff. It can use tools to go execute something. And then finally, while it's doing its work, it can evaluate its job. And it does all that through using these kind of technologies. So that's a very high level, and it's a little bit into like the details of it, but we can talk more about it afterwards if you like. And the way to think about it at high level in terms of its capabilities is this advise, assist, automate. So this is a framework that we put together at PTC to explain the different capabilities that an agent can deliver to workers. So the first is advise. That's where a lot of people are today. The AI agent, the AI, is an advisor. It's giving you information, but it doesn't do any work on your behalf. It doesn't execute something in a workflow. It doesn't automate. It's giving you an answer to a question. It's finding something. It's summarizing. And a lot of the use cases that we see today are in that advise space. The second level up is assist. That's where it's semi-autonomous, where it's doing some work for you. So we saw yesterday with the Cobeamer AI, you can like type analysis and it'll run an cozy analysis, or you're gonna see soon you can generate test case. So it's doing part of the work, but not all of the work. And then automate, it's starting to do some or all of the workflow that you're trying to do. It could be ingesting something, it could be running a review of a change process. So advise, assist, automate. So what does that look like? So the first one, advise. So the way this slides will be kind of designed, I'll have on the left a video and then a couple other snapshots. So on the left here, we've got the Windchill AI chat interface. This is an offering we'll be releasing in December of 2025. And here, the AI is tapping into data, in this case, document vault data. So in Windchill, there's a document vault where you can put PDF documents, Word documents. In the AI chat, you can ask questions. You can have it go find things for you. So in this case, it's looking for a certain part and it finds it, and then furthermore, it can, open the document. So that's the chat experience of Windchill. You're getting advice, it's helping you find something. In addition, you can summarize. So it's gonna go over here now and go look at that document. And instead of a chat interface, the Gen AI now is gonna do an AI action. It's gonna summarize that document. So it's a 220-page document. It's gonna use its LLM capabilities, analyze it, and then create output, generate a short text to give you a quick briefing on what that document's about. Maybe it's been a while, you're on vacation, you need to refresh on something. Let's use that summarize capability. Other examples is in support. So like you're in a software and you need in-product support. We see that a lot with like the vendors where you're in the product and you want to ask a question on how to use it or ask a question about troubleshooting something. So advise, empowering engineers with insight. The second one is assist. So now you want to boost engineer speed and quality. You want to actually get into the work, the day-to-day work of requirements management or building a CAD model or managing a change process. So on the left here, we have one of our new features that we're building out for Cobeamer AI, which is test case generation. So you're in Cobeamer, you have selected a requirement, and you want to generate some tests. Now to do that, the agent needs to be grounded in the authoring guidelines. It needs to be contextual to the requirements. It needs to know the metadata object of the Cobeamer model. And then what it does is it takes you through a workflow. And in this case, it's not a chat interface, it's an action interface. It's gonna take you through step by step on how to do that. So what's your test coverage with that existing item? Okay, let's define what those predefined actions are and summary are. Okay, now let's go generate the test steps. And in each way, there's a human in the loop to actually check where it's going, can edit it, modify it, et cetera. We're doing similar things in Creo, where I have some screenshots here where you're using LLMs to ask questions of your Creo model. Hey, I'm working on this CAD design. I have this geometry constraint that I need to look at. Can you modify, in this case, this vase? And what the LLM does is it takes that prompt, then looks at the API documentation of Creo, and then generates a script to modify the geometry. So you're pairing LLMs with deterministic models, API calls, to modify the geometry, to run analyses. All of this is about speeding time, increasing productivity of the engineer in their existing systems. And then finally, where things are going is in the automate space. So I'm characterizing this as an vision or a future. So what I have here on the left is some work we've been doing at PTC where we're pairing ALM and PLM data into a chat interface, and in this case, in a design review process to look at impact to requirements for changing one part. So there's a chat happening here where the end user's saying, can you go look at this part, see if there's any impact on these requirements? Can you modify your plan that you're about to go do? Now run that, find out what's happened, find those requirements through tracing, and see what happens. So that's something we've built. On the right, I put a fictitious UI, and it's a teaser to what's coming, which is we're gonna start having dashboards on our computer about what agents are doing for us, where we see a status of it's completed these tasks for us. It's run this review process. Can you validate this step? So that we'll have like a workforce potentially of agents doing things for us as a dashboard. This is based on stuff, it isn't fictitious. We're already working with Microsoft about this. This is the kind of UI that they're already building for some of their solutions, where you have this agent dashboard to monitor the activity of these intelligent digital workers that are doing work for you, whether it's assistance or automation. And within that framing, the way we're designing our software is having these agents in our technology stack. And one thing to call out here are these coordinators. So think of them as like the team managers for individual agents, the specialist agents. So like in the requirement quality analysis, there's an Incosi agent. For the test case assistant, there's a test case agent. And the ALM coordinator coordinates prompts. So if you're in a chat interface and an engineer asks a question, it knows, oh, I need to go work with the Incosi agent or the test case agent in this example. And these coordinators are going to start working with each other. So it's cross kind of functional team collaboration in a way, and they're going to make a decision on. So that's what's happening. We're already implementing that and seeing the results where we have a coordinator agent taking input and discerning what to do for requirements and for PLM to manage that design process and to do an impact analysis. So one more framework just to kind of share some of our kind of thoughts on AI. This is a new framework I put together to kind of summarize, like, what does the maturity of an AI agent look for? So I've only talked about capability right now. So advise, assist, automate. There's two other things to think about. And I'm calling it the 3C framework. We'll see how that evolves over time. This is my first time showing it to anybody in a public space. But the next one to think about is cognition. So the LLM, so I mentioned AI agents are software services that use LLMs to do their job. So there's different levels of using an LLM. So one is just reactive. They're using the LLM for its natural language capability to take that prompt and do something with it and answer. There's proactive, which uses the LLM for reasoning. It says, oh, I got a prompt. What should I do? Should I go talk to the ALM agent or the PLM agent? It's proactive in making decisions. And then adaptive is, I'm going to now store my memory of what I've done, and I'm going to be adaptive so that I'm more efficient next time you use me by having memory stored in my agent kind of database. So that's cognition. And then collaboration, pretty straightforward. Is it a standalone agent that works independently? Is it a multi-agent where that coordinates between agents? Or is it agents working across products? So if you think about it, you can like assess the agents you're working on if you're building them yourselves, if you're a vendor, and you can think about your maturity model around your agent kind of matrix. And so this was just something I was thinking about last night, and I put this together. It's a little hokey, but just for fun, I was like, oh, like think about agents as digital workers, and like we all have our resumes and we put like different things. And I was thinking about how like in some resumes, you'll see people put their skills with the scores of like C++, I'm a 5 out of 5, or whatever. I was thinking the same level, like, oh, what if those 3 C's were scores? So like, I'm the test case assistant, this is my job to be done, I've got this maturity in terms of what I can do and the technologies. And I know this is a little hokey, but just out of interest, there's some new markets popping up. For example, there are native AI companies. So these are the startup companies that are focused on AI and AI products. They're going out in market and have different business models. So one of them is, they have AI agents that are researchers or programmers. And what they're doing is they're going on to LinkedIn and they're looking for people who are posting for coders and researchers, and they're reaching out to those companies and saying, hey, those people that you're looking to hire for $80,000, $150,000, I can give it to you for $20,000. Like that's their go-to-market business model. Like that's happening right now. It's interesting. So this one's a busy slide. This is kind of I was working on this yesterday afternoon because I feel like I wanted to share some thoughts that we've, some lessons learned in implementing AI. I'll share in a bit. This isn't new. We've been doing AI for more than 10 years. But in terms of generative AI, these are some lessons. And Jason, give me a timer call too if I'm getting too close, okay? All right, great. So on the engineering side, so I did it like a persona base, so engineers and then IT and management. So on the engineering side, first, we're going to see engineers benefit quickly from these AI advisors. Like, in some cases, you may just be like, you do your own thing where you have your own data, your own your own documentation, your own engineering documentation, and you convert it into this what's called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation content. So you're just embedding the content so it's LLM friendly. And you're going to put that in your own data source, and you're just going to put a chat on top of that so you can talk to your documentation. Like, that's a typical scenario. Then you might also see that in our products, like you just saw it with Windchill AI Chat. We said, okay, let's do that RAG model for a Windchill document. So you can ask questions of your documents in Windchill. We're gonna see that happening. It's in process. Another lesson we have is like engineers, they don't want to leave their systems. Like they're in their systems, that's where they work. They don't want to jump from tool to tool. So put the AI in their workflows. Make it seamless, whether it's chat or AI actions. A big one is like there's definitely some work to be done around building confidence. Generative AI is probabilistic. It's going to give you an answer that may vary to various degrees, and the range that software vendors are looking at is between 80 and 100%. True fact, like most vendors are going to be in that space, 80 to 100%. It's not always going to be right. So you need to build confidence and provide transparency around the results so that they know the answers. Another one is, as we get more into this, AI assistants will become more and more part of our process. We're going to see more assistants doing some of our work for us, evaluating requirements, optimizing geometry, doing change review analyses. Engineers need to answer questions or that are relevant for 2 or more. So this is interesting. So like, as you know, when you're working on a process, you rely on data for 2 or more systems. So you need to think about this digital thread. And this AI agent, we're seeing it as a promising lever for that experience. And that's why we're implementing those areas before that I shared on that PLM, ALM dashboard. And I already mentioned the dashboard concept. So on the IT management side, there's still a good deal of hype on this topic. It's true. I don't know if you've ever seen like this hype curve. We're kind of moving into this disillusionment area as well. Like there's some concerns, and that's good. Like we want to test the waters. We want to kick the tires, figure out what works and what doesn't. In terms of the patterns I've seen in market, like a year or 2 ago, it was all about like, what can AI do? This new generative AI. And then like it was like, let's go try it out. Let's see what it can really do. I want to build a POC. And now more and more companies are saying, okay, what's it going to deliver? What's the value? Like that's where it's at right now. A big barrier to adoption is change management, for sure. Like, and if you talk to the researchers, the analysts, the partners, it's in the top 3. Like to implement these AI solutions, to build the confidence, to change your processes, you need change management. That's why partners and these big vendors like hyperscalers, like Microsoft or AWS are so important in this strategy. A little lesson learned from we implemented, so at PTC, we use AI in our processes. Like we use GitHub Copilot to generate code now and like do our software development. We're seeing productivity gains there. And in that framing, we have a governance board. In the AI governance board, it's been super helpful for 2 reasons. One, compliance. So we look at internal operations and we look at external operations. How are we implementing AI in our products and how are we implementing AI in our operations? And that's been great from just like being on top of our game, being ready for EU Act, things like that. But also what's been interesting is that it's been increasing visibility across the company. We're getting all these inquiries and inputs around, oh, I'm ready to do this, and we're exposing what people are doing across the company. So if you're in a large organization and you're trying out different AI technologies, this AI governance board has also been a mechanism to increase visibility and therefore innovation, because you can avoid redundant technologies, you can have people team up together on common solutions. It's been very interesting. This one I can't stress enough how important it is. It's to build a Gen AI solution, it's bringing a new paradigm to the SDLC, the software development lifecycle. And that's around validation and testing. With these probabilistic generative AI models, there are all these levers you can pull to validate quality and to make sure it delivers secure quality data. And one of them is like ground truth data. So when you do a Gen AI based feature, you get a bunch of data and you label it and say, this is the output you expect. And then you run the AI through it and you check off all the boxes, you've got a pretty good solution. So having a ground truth data set is critical. Another lever is like bias controls and content filters. And my point here is when you work with a vendor, like ask them, what are you doing about validation? How are you managing testing? How are you building out quality data? Like this is important, really important. Another one is around technical deployment. It's clear, like we need to meet customers where they are. Engineering organizations, they have a huge IT infrastructure. They're building their own software and services, and including AI, and they're using vendors like PTC and other companies here. So we need to bolt on AI into that existing architecture. So hybrid models, GovCloud, enabling companies to use their LLM subscription are critical to going to market at speed. And then finally, what's happening for sure is pricing trends are moving more towards consumption models. So that's just like we're experiencing, if you're using LLMs today, you're getting charged for token cost. It's gonna start happening with agents too. So like agents will start getting charged per call per agent, kind of like APIs. And I imagine in 2, 3, 5 years, more and more software licensing will start to move to consumption models. We're already seeing it with the hyperscalers like Microsoft and AWS. Okay, so what's next in our journey? I'm going to conclude now with more about like what we're up to and where we're going, and then end it with an opportunity to engage with us. So we've been doing AI for more than 10 years. We're not an AI company. We're an industrial software company. We apply it in our products. We've done it with a number of technologies, from predictive analytics up to the stuff we just spent the whole last 20 minutes on, generative AI. And as we think about where we're going, one core piece is like that we're always going to be laser focused on is like create value at scale and responsibly. And so we did some research with all the product teams about 2 years ago and said, hey, this AI stuff's really picking up. Where do we want to prioritize? Where are we going next? And we did that analysis, and these came up to the top. In engineering, it's about accelerating product development. It's reducing COGS. It's managing quality and compliance. And these are the areas that we're going to focus on in terms of discrete features and functions. For generative AI, we did a similar study. So we kind of double-clicked it, and we said, okay, now let's look at these systems of record where the data is. Let's unlock that data to get that as, insights and automation. And here are all the areas that we're looking at. And so in the green, these are things that are coming out this calendar year. Like they're coming to market, like we're releasing. Some stuff's already out, like ServiceMax AI, Onshape. Codebeamer has a beta. We'll talk more about those in a minute. But in the other areas, there's some great areas. Like there's topics that we're researching in the IoT AR side around like unlocking more work around root cause analysis and generating instructions. On the engineering side, we're really starting to chug on the research, but our plans aren't until 2026. But it's all around agents, optimizing designs and geometry, assisting the engineer, speeding up their time. The next thing that we're doing, like our first phase was getting it into products. The second phase of our strategy is let's unlock that digital thread with agentic workflows. So these are just illustrative examples across that digital thread where you've got different use cases where you have AI-powered software, and we're going to start inserting into those existing systems those agents that can talk to each other. So we can enable that cross-collaboration between our systems to unlock that digital thread, to put the wind behind the sails, as I mentioned. It's a really exciting opportunity, and we have our Microsoft colleagues. We're partnered with them on that strategy, like figuring out the agent protocols, building robust architectures to support those agent workflows. It's a core part of our strategy, and we'll be investing a lot of time into that from now and going forward. Finally, as an enterprise company, we are going to build software that is enterprise grade. Like that's core to our business. We want to make sure that we have that value. We want to provide the trusted data within our systems with the access and control, the metadata, the business objects, inject the AI within the existing workflows so it's seamless. The cross-product that I mentioned, the quality that I've already mentioned, and then our background around building software for those different systems, and then cost efficiency. So you may want to deploy AI into your environment, use your subscription and technologies, or you may want to use PTCs because of the cost scaling mechanisms that we provide. Because we're doing it at scale with Microsoft, we can give you better price points on cost. So those are things to evaluate with us, and I've already shared our strategic partners. So in Creo, Windchill, Codebeamer, we're working heavily with Microsoft. For other products, we also work with AWS. And then the governance and compliance, core to our business. So in terms of what's next in the real near term, just want to call out a few highlights. So there's Creo AI, the design assistant. Windchill, there's this feature called duplicate data management. That's a vision AI base, so it's using our computer vision technology to look for duplicates, and then also to down the road to help with classification of parts. We have our AI chat document vault that's coming out in December. And then Codebeamer, we have 3 assistants: requirement, test case, and knowledge assistant. So that's where we're going with our roadmap. And as a conclusion, we'd love to work with you on this. We've got beta programs in flight to engage us, to give us feedback on our roadmap, to try out. We have private host environments with dummy data. You can get on it right away and try out the features, kick the tires, give us feedback so that we can deliver a product that meets your business needs. With that, I'll conclude with some questions and anything else. Yeah, cheers.
Questions for Iora? Oh, there we go.
Okay, on time. Okay, great.
Yeah, so I just had a question about the pricing of the AI and some of the tools that you guys are going to have. So you mentioned that the pricing was moving towards kind of consumption-based for the industry. Is that what PTC is planning to do for the AI tools integrated into things like Codebeamer?
Yep, good question. So it's going to be a dual model depending on the deployment. So if you use PTC's hosted version of the AI services that then are plugged into your installation of Codebeamer, whether it's on-prem or not, there'll be two components to it. So one is just there'll be potentially an add-on. That's where we're trending. We haven't confirmed that, so subject to change. I'm looking for Christoph here, but we'd have a user-based add-on similar to what you see out in the market, somewhere in the $10 to $60 range. We haven't nailed that down. And then there'd be a usage charge for tokens. So if you go over a usage of tokens, we would have to manage that overage of cost. So that's the two models that we're looking at. If you deploy it in your environment, you wouldn't have this. You would be incurring the cost yourself because you would have the subscription to the LM and get the token costs. So we would just have the user license model for that. So that's how we're looking at pricing. We're not moving fully to just consumption model. We're not there. We're just saying that's coming, and I'm more sharing that as an insight. 3-5 years, that's going to become more ubiquitous potentially in the market around how companies charge for software. But for now, we're sticking to our pricing kind of strategy, which is user-based, and then layering that overage charge because of the tokens that are coming into the business. Yeah, thanks.
Here we go. Everybody knows Asha from Autoleave yesterday because she asked most of the questions. I told her she only had one question today. That's her limit. She knows I'm kidding. But she has a question. She's going to use it, Iora, on AI. So.
All right, great. Thanks, Ash. I feel honored.
No pressure.
You want to stand up here and ask your question?
No. So the question is, for AI, so I know for a lot of generative AIs like ChatGPT and Copilot, usually they have a specific way you should ask questions. So I was wondering if for this AI, the AI that PTC is coming out with for each product that you have, will you have suggested prompts available for people to get started with it?
Yeah, good question. It depends. So for some products, we will have suggested workflows where you click a prompt. So like Servigistics, for example, which I didn't mention, there'll be specific prompts that you click in that chat interface to go run an analysis on a spare parts plan. Or in Creo, we're still evaluating. It may be just more open-ended, ask questions. For Cobeamer, we don't even have chat right now. It's all AI actions where you click analysis or generate tests, and then you go through workflows. So we're using different modalities based on the use case.
Okay.
Yep. Gentleman in the back with the blue shirt. Two more.
Okay.
All right, we'll take a couple more and then.
Yeah, since you opened the door for non-engineering AI, any AI work in the MedDev area on regulatory submissions, maybe looking into all the different regulatory bodies throughout the world?
Right. So that question also comes up with the automotive area with homologation. So that's something we're looking at with Cobeamer requirements. It's just a research topic right now. It's not something we actively have planned to release. In the document space, though, with Windchill Document Vault, if you are storing any compliance documentation and have that feature, you will have access to that AI chat where you can ask questions and get summaries and query it. So you'll get that right out the gate with Windchill AI chat. One more question I've got. Yep.
Only one, okay. Generally, there's a difference in the rollout between on-prem and Plus. Is that going to be similar for your AI agent rollout?
Yeah, it's good. I'm glad you asked that because it came up yesterday too. So I actually prepared a slide for that. So our strategy, I'll try and take 2 minutes. Is that okay? Thanks, Jason. Our strategy around deploying AI software at a very high level is this. So it's unique for every product. I want to be clear here. So I just want to give you some general statements, and you can work with our product teams to get the individual deployment strategies. But you have your software in blue, like PTC software deployed in your environment. Let's call it Windchill, right? So you have the client and the server. And what we're doing is we're having these add-on features. And one of the reasons why we have this add-on strategy is this technology is moving fast. New models, the way you have to update agents. So we want to extend your software by having these plugins. So we're building a plugin service for Windchill. We already have one for Cobeamer with the model widget extension framework. And then we connect that to AI services, whether it's the agent and how it's designed or the LLM models. And then there's different strategies to deploy this type of architecture. So the two that we're prioritizing first are one, you can elect to use those green boxes on the right deployed in PTC's AI cloud, Or two, you can deploy those AI services in your cloud tenant of like Azure, for example. And then in terms of on-prem, we're evaluating that, like where you like package up a large language model and the services and deploy it. It takes a lot of compute power. For like basic use cases like advisor use cases of asking questions about knowledge documentation, there are examples where a large language model on-prem works well, a large language model on-prem works. But when you get to more robust AI assistant use cases where you need more compute power, you need more robust models. And deploying those on-prem are pretty expensive and require very heavy compute graphic cards. So we're evaluating that number 3. In that first 2 models, the one where you're deploying our services in your tenant, we're also looking at that cloud environment. But the key point here is that we're connecting the AI services to your existing deployment of the software. We're plugging it in, and then you need to make a decision on, am I okay with sharing some of that data in the PTC system to process it, or do I want to keep it in my tenant with my like Azure tenant? And those are the types of conversations we can have with you in follow-ups for sure.
One more question on behalf of the PTC customer base. Are we going to allow our users to be able to develop and integrate their own AI agents into our software?
Yeah. It's something that we're looking at very extensively, and I didn't have it on here because it's like a coming soon thing where you can extend AI agents with configuration. So what's really interesting is AI agents, the way they're designed, they have instructions. I do this, I do that, I do this, and it's written in natural language. What's very interesting for IT providers is that now you can update those agents with natural language and not go through these complex workflows. We've already implemented that with ServiceMax. It's called an AI console. We're going to look at the same strategy where you can extend our software with these AI consoles, which would then unlock partners and customers.